Welcome everyone to the Coaching Cafe. My name's Natalie Ashdown and I'm here with Bridget Calvert. Hello to you, Bridget.
Hello there, Natalie, and hello to everybody. Good to be here.
Well, welcome to our Coaching in Action series. We're going to look at a coaching demonstration today. And before we do, let me acknowledge, as always, the traditional owners, the custodians on the lands on which we're all meeting today, or perhaps you're listening to this on your favourite streaming service, and their continuing connection to the land, waters, and communities of Australia, the lands from all around the world where you might be joining us, as I said, today or on your favourite streaming service. We're paying our respects to them, to their elders past, present and emerging, and elders from Indigenous communities from all around the world. And we are joined from all around the world. We've been saying hello, as we always do, and getting our weather report from all around the world. So this series we're kicking off today, we would like to give you coaching demonstrations. These are live coaching demonstrations recorded either by myself or by Bridget. And we're going to be listening to the coaching demonstration today, and then we're going to be debriefing. So you'll hear the first half of the coaching demonstration, and then we'll be debriefing it together. The coaching demonstrations are designed for you to be able to listen to, debrief with us, get insights into the ICF Core Competencies, have a listen to the coaching. And as always, we're all about creating a community, sharing learned experiences, having thought-provoking conversations, and yes, your CCEUs are available at the end of the session. So with that in mind, I would like to switch over to our coaching recording. This was a recording done last year. And what we are listening out for is the ICF Core Competencies. If you want to pick up the transcript, you can off our blog, and you can also listen to the recording again on our blog. What I want to share with you before we kick off is that we're listening for the ICF Core Competencies, and because this is a live recording, you may think that you would do different things than what you're hearing the coach do, but I would like you just to sit in a space of non-judgmental, sit in a learning space, and think about how the coach is bringing out those ICF core competencies. We know that this recording is at least PCC level, probably high PCC level. It hasn't been assessed as MCC, but it will give you a good demonstration of PCC. So as I mentioned, there might be things that you would do differently, and I want you to be aware of your responses to the different things that are happening within the coaching recording. We do have permission to share this recording, and so we're going to sit back for the next 15 minutes and have a listen. Here we go. But just before we do, Bridget, can you give me the thumbs up if you can actually hear this as well, just so that we know, and then we can take our videos off.
And yeah, as I said, it's really nice to connect with you, Ben. So thank you very much. So shall we get into the coaching? Are you happy to do that?
Love to.
Excellent. So was there something on your mind in particular you want to focus on for our time together?
There are multiple things, but in terms of today, I thought we might explore whether I go for my PCC accreditation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what have you been thinking?
Well, I completed ACC maybe 18 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And in retrospect, I probably should have just cooled my jets and waited and gone for PCC because I kind of went through all the effort of recording and exams and things. I already had 500 hours by the time I'd gone through the process. So I think I'm starting the diploma now. I want to continue to develop my practice. I think, yeah, for me, I'm just wondering if and when I'm go to PCC.
And what would it mean to actually go to PCC?
Ooh. Well, I think it would. Looking at it from two ways. So one's kind of like through my own feeling about my own coaching practice, and feeling like I've grown, developed, graduated, ACC walk to run kind of thing. So there's probably positive story for my my own development, but I think in terms of my clients and who I work with, I feel like that might open up different opportunities that are sometimes reserved for PCC credentialed coaches.
Mm. And is that feedback you've gotten from clients or a feeling that you have about that as well?
The piece about PCC opportunities?
Yeah.
I'm referring to some specific feedback from a coaching house. I do 3 days a week in-house in OD, then I do 2 days of coaching, but I do 95% is subcontracting. I don't want to run my own business and all that jazz. And there's a particular coaching organisation that won't look at you unless you have PCC.
Right, yeah.
The challenge, of course, is if I do go ahead and achieve my PCC and invest the time and money, there's no guarantee they'll offer me a role.
Of course. Yeah, but it sounds like it's also about a feeling that you've grown. So that you're not ACC anymore. You actually are. You've grown in your coaching skills as well.
Yes.
So how important do you think it might be to you then to go for your PCC?
How important? I don't think there's anything to lose from doing it other than cost and time. But the question was importance, wasn't it?
How important is it for you to go for it? You've got this feeling of growth and potentially it could impact the clients. Yeah. Any sense of importance around this?
Sometimes I look around and see the ACC credential being dished out quite lightly. Like I see, I'm kind of like, oh, that's interesting. That's good for them. They've got ACC, but I feel like I had to work a lot harder for mine than other people. So I think maybe the point of my story here is about differentiation. So, or demonstrating that credibility externally. Validation. I don't know why I need it, but
Yeah, so maybe demonstrating that credibility, validation. Yeah, I'm hearing proving that you've done the hard work too. So not just ACC, you've done the work, you've done the yards.
I think what's getting in my way. Well, firstly, I'm still working through the diploma. I need the required hours, so I've got some time. I'm just sort of thinking about going back through the exam again, and evaluations. So I'm a bit kind of like, oh gosh, how important is it to me to be able to push down this path? Get some feedback that my recordings aren't up to scratch. Revisit my practice, re-record them, or whatever that might look like. I think probably that's what's making me question it. And I can't remember how much it is to go for it, probably another $1,000 or whatever it is. So that's probably my little bit of doubt. Yeah.
You've got to do recordings and the like. There's a bit of effort to go to getting it as well. Okay, so with that in mind, what we've discussed so far, what did you want to get out of our conversation then today?
Probably still floating around. It's a combination question of, do I want to go ahead with it? But also then is it maybe a not now? Like when do I do that? So my ACC credential is due for renewal, I think in April 26. Seems a bit crazy. I'm thinking about this now, but because of lead times and mentoring and all that sort of thing, I'm not sure whether I go through one more renewal of ACC. And then potentially I could do it after that, or instead of renewing the ACC, just apply. for PCC. So I think probably that's what's in my mind around that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm hearing that it's some motivating factors, but I'm not hearing sufficient motivation
To do it.
Yeah, to go through all of the feedback, etc. So
Yes, I think that's a good call. Well, the coaching work I do now is part of a mixed portfolio, and none of them actually need me to be ACC. So I haven't really seen the ROI from the time and effort to go through ACC. I don't know over time, if I don't work in-house and I just do coaching and consulting work, then maybe it will become more important. I also think I kind of look around and there's a lot of coaches that have no credentials at all. So probably in my mind, I'm a bit, just stacking it up in my mind going, I want to improve my practice, fabulous, but do I need to go through this process? Is that valuable? So yes, I think that's right. There's probably a little bit of a lack of commitment, but what's the drive to do it? Also married to an accountant who's saying, oh, it's interesting you've just spent this money, or what's this other $1,500 for? What's this $1,000 over here? And I'm like, because I'm quite committed to growing and developing as a coach, but I'm probably not bringing the work in. So it's a bit like when's enough? And that's why I'm kind of like, what's the right time? Like, why am I pushing myself to do this before the next renewal? Go through a renewal process, continue to grow and develop whilst an ACC. Like, what's this pressure I've put on myself to move up quite quickly?
And so what's the answer to that question? What is this pressure to do it now? What is happening there?
I'm a bit like, with my decision making, I'm a bit like, if now, not now, when? Like, why would I put it off? Like, if in the next few months I will have finished the diploma, will have developed my practice, like, why would I not go ahead and do it now if I've got the skills and capabilities? Maybe we're getting somewhere. Maybe there's doubt. We come to maybe to the feedback point I made, maybe there's some doubt that I won't cut it. Therefore, maybe I'm prematurely going there.
So the why not is because, go on, keep going. Yeah, so the why not is because you don't think you'll cut it because you're not ready.
Maybe. It's been a bit of a journey with coaching where the ICF way is very descriptive. And the work I have been doing isn't pure coaching. So I work with providers who want you to put a little bit of mentoring, consulting, talk about a model. So it's not the pure coaching. So I'm probably a bit scrambled in my coaching manner. So I'm probably a bit nervous about performance assessment and being really clean, not showing any judgment, not leading the witness, because over the last little while I've probably strayed away from that because that's the work I've been asked to do. So maybe the answer there is I just need to reserve some time and work with some people in the pure ICF coaching manner.
And if you were to do that, how might that alleviate these doubts you have about your performance?
Well, I think it would test me. Like, if I actually went into a coach session, I'm like, right, no advice giving, no, then I think maybe that would be a good way for me to test how I go with it.
Yeah, sure.
And I think that might help me size how much effort I need to put into reining it back in.
Right. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Would there be any other doubts that might hold? So when you said why not, are there any other reasons you can think of that you wouldn't? Any other doubts?
I really don't want to go back into that exam.
Yeah.
No, probably not. Just probably put my big boy pants on and be ready to get some feedback. And maybe chuckle one day when you said, "Oh, you're giving feedback. You were too enthusiastic."
Yes, exactly.
So it was a bit like, maybe just be, go into it with an open mind and go, I'm here to receive whatever they have to say. And if I have to redo something, that's not saying I'm a bad coach or whatever. I take it in and go, great, good to know. And that's something for me to work on.
And as you're saying those things, that this could be about feedback, working, your growth as a coach, how does that feel when you're thinking about things like that?
It feels quite natural to me. Like I feel like I'm a bit of a growth mindset kind of person, and I quite like, in my own world, I quite like precise feedback. Not overly precise, but if someone could, well, actually, you didn't actively listen. You asked this question here, which demonstrated you're pushing them down a path that was for your own benefit. That's actually probably quite helpful for me, rather than going, that coaching session wasn't that good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you're looking for a bit more of a natural kind of process. Yeah, natural with feedback and growth and a growth mindset.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's right. So reframing it to myself as a big hurdle, as opposed, go through, obviously prepare. I've got some recordings to do for the diploma, which I've kind of been stalling on, partially because I wanted to work with someone who's done the models, but also a bit like, oof, I might go rogue. And so I think I probably need to get over that hurdle and just start recording and be okay if it's not the one I showed to Bridget or someone else.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, it sounds like a bit much more natural process for you than this what you might have described as like a performance pressure.
Performance evaluation, but yeah, I agree with you. I think, I think that's a good way to see it, and I do feel actually more enthusiastic now about doing it, working through that process. Whereas when I was thinking about it yesterday, I'm like, oh my gosh, just want to be able to achieve that quite easily.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, like, what are you most afraid of when it comes to doing these recordings and getting the feedback, and what are you most afraid of?
Alrighty. So we're going to stop it there. I'm just going to try to show you my video. Here we go. So we're going to stop it there. And I hope it's like, ooh, suspense. 15 minutes in. What is he most afraid of? And so that'll hopefully mean that you'll come back next week and listen to the second half of our recording. So we want to debrief what's happening so far, and in particular point out the differences perhaps between ACC and PCC. Very keen to hear your thoughts or questions, so please feel free to interact with us in the chat box.
And yeah, it's really nice to connect with you, Ben. So
sorry, we'll stop that. And here we go. And so now we're thinking about what did you actually hear, and we want to debrief this half of the coaching session in terms of the core competencies number 3, establishing and maintaining agreements. Core competency number 4, cultivating trust and safety, and also establishing a coaching mindset. So going back to core competency number 2, establishing a coaching mindset. And of course, we have Bridget on the line with us. So Bridget, I'd be keen to tap into your thoughts very much. Bridget's done hundreds and hundreds of coaching recordings, performance evaluation assessments, and is an accredited ICF assessor at the PCC level. So we've discussed this recording quite a lot, Bridge, and I'm just thinking about coaching mindset to kick off. So I've got some notes here, but what are you hearing in terms of coaching mindset?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's really clear to me, Nat, that you are staying out of that space and really partnering with your client to elicit his thoughts and feelings and ideas around what's happening for him. And you are facilitating that essentially through open and curious questions, and staying out that space. Some beautiful silences and space was what really stood out for me in terms of being able to embody that coaching mindset and having that growth mindset where you trust that person is going to have the answers for themselves, and they can sit in the silence, and you're quite comfortable sitting in the silence and allowing them to think and reflect. So you're not inserting yourself at all into that conversation, other than to ask a genuinely curious question at appropriate times. So you are really allowing your client to lead the conversation and do his own exploration. There's certainly no sense of rushing through to get to an outcome or a result. It's really at the coachee's pace. Yeah, and so from a high PCC, PCC MC/MCC perspective, that's where you want to be in terms of embodying that coaching mindset. At an ACC level, where potentially someone has less experience with their coaching, they're building their coaching skill set, they might have said, okay, so great. So what's the plan, or how are you going to move forward on this? What are your options to move forward, rather than really digesting that space to explore?
Yes, I think it's a really good point, Bridget. I remember when I first listened to a recording, which was similar to this when I was first going for my MCC quite some time ago now. And I was in that, why doesn't the coach just get on with it? Why doesn't the coach just say, okay, so if you want to go for your PCC, what's the next step? What have you done so far? What's the next step? And that was a real eye opener and awakening for me, that was the coach actually driving the conversation, as opposed to the use of silence, the partnering, definitely not inserting yourself, because it's easy to do that. And then allowing that exploration to happen. I do make observations, I think, which is the difference as well. The coach is allowed to make observations. I'm hearing this, I'm hearing that. I think if it was a better coaching recording or a better coaching session, the coach might have said, am I right on that? So the difference between, I think, high PCC and pushing to MCC is the coach makes the observations, but then inquires, what are your thoughts? Am I right with that? And what happened naturally in the coaching conversation is the client did say, yes, oh, I agree with you. But a better way of framing it would have been the observation followed by a question. Have you got thoughts on that too, B?
I do. So whilst there might be, it's almost like there's splatters of high PC, MCC, PCC. There's splatters. So that's a very good example of where you've got PCC, you've got the observation around growth, which was your observation in this particular conversation around your client's growth, and to confirm or to ask and to not be attached to the outcome of that would be more that MCC level. Because if I was going to be really picky, without that offering of, am I, is that right, or to check, you could potentially, it could be seen as, well, you've made an assumption, maybe, even though it's an observation. So by adding that little piece in, it's that this is what I'm observing. And also too, what I really enjoyed here too was not only were you offering what you were hearing, but also what you were not hearing as well, around motivation, which I thought was very good, and that was certainly at MCC level there. So.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. So it is about very strongly what you're hearing and what you're not hearing. So I'm not trying to be convinced that he's motivated to do this, but I'm not, it's what he's not saying that then led to the conversation about doubts and other doubts. So yes,
Yeah.
and Ian picked up, he is in a real feeling space and working this through. So it's allowing the client just to be uncomfortable and work things through. explore without rushing as well. So let's move on then to maintaining and establishing an agreement, because here you might think, well, we've spent quite some time trying to understand what is the agreement, what are we actually coaching, what's the goal here? And you will hear me ask a second time, so what would you like to get out of this coaching conversation? And then I check back in later about how it's adding value. But there was a lot of questions here that is trying to establish the agreement. And the important thing here is, first up, understanding, why are we talking about this? What's important? So rather than just go, okay, so you want to talk about PCC, let's go for it. We're trying, and I think this is what I pick up from your coaching, Bridget. You do this so beautifully. You try to dig under the surface about why we're having this conversation in the first place. And that is all about maintaining and establishing that agreement. So what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, look, I definitely think that in terms of establishing and maintaining agreements in this particular conversation, you asked really great questions around, what would it mean? What would it mean for you if? That's a great question to get underneath the surface. And certainly, how important is it? These are really important, as you say. It inspires that motivation, the driver behind, well, actually, yeah, why? Why am I actually doing this? What's inspiring me to move forward with this? So you're trying to work out, obviously, what they want to accomplish overall, but also what they want to accomplish in the session, what's important and what's meaningful to them, but also to what they need to address in order to achieve. So where you were talking about the doubts, any other doubts and stretching for that, this is really great and part of that establishing and maintaining agreements, because you're really getting into, well, what do I need to address or resolve in order to be able to meet the driver, in order to meet the motivation and the inspiration, because there's something else. It's not only it's not only to be inspired to move forward and understanding the why, but what's getting in the way? What's potentially, what do you need to address or resolve to be able to do that, which is really important around that core competency 3.
And here also, for those experienced coaches on the line, remember that at high PCC level, the coaching conversation, what we're looking for is that it's linked to a higher purpose. So that's where, what would this mean to you, is a really great question. And you notice the coachee actually stop and go, oh, well, what would it mean? And what is the motivation? So we're linking through to some form of higher purpose. And he then brought out that it would mean differentiation, credibility, validation, not that he needs it, but he brought out a lot of interesting reasons there why he might even be having this. And then, of course, as you say, Bridge, we're drilling down into what do they need to address. And that's a very good thing that we should be focusing on. And this is all part of establishing the coaching agreement. And as you could hear, under the surface, what he needed to address is the doubts that he has. And we'll hear more about it in the next half of the coaching session as well.
Yeah.
The use of silence actually allows, now I'm coaching a coach, and so the use of silence actually allows the coachee to do the reframe as well, which is really nice if we can use silence and then a reframe happens. The observation was made about, well, perhaps this is about growth as you as a coach rather than the pressure, etc. And then you can hear the shift in energy that happens, which is really nice.
Yeah.
So, and again, then the coach checks into what he wants to achieve. So I know we're on time, but let's just finish off our debrief of this part. And I'm interested, Bridget, on your thoughts about the next competency, which is cultivating trust and safety.
Yeah, and you've expressed this and demonstrated this throughout from the start. It was a natural, curious coaching conversation. There was good rapport. You trusted that space. You trusted that your client, your coachee, was going to take that time to think and reflect without you having to jump in or try and solve anything or fix anything. you just trusted the process. You know, the use of his words, natural process rather than performance pressure, as an example, leads to the question, what are you most afraid of? Which is a fantastic, you know, a brilliant question, powerful question. What are you most afraid of? Which again digs into that, what they need to address or to resolve in order to overcome, in order to achieve what they want to achieve. So you've really placed a lot of trust into your coachee, who in turn trusts the process with you as well. So you're really demonstrating that throughout the way you are operating as a coach in this session.
Yes, and as Ian points out, validating that the client's views are actually okay.
Yeah.
And I like this coaching session because a lot of us can relate to it, that what he is talking about inserting himself and having to rein himself back in, there's no judgment here, actually. And he talks about going rogue, which was quite a funny moment. And I'm sure all of us as experienced coaches have thought about how we need to rein ourselves in or not go rogue or offer advice, etc. And there is a dance sometimes between what's required of us, etc. We know that. The issue here, the cultivating trust and safety, there's no judgment. It's light. And I also point out that the coach was happy to feel vulnerable because he said, in the past, meaning I'm the coach, I've been accused of being overly enthusiastic. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So there is a nice rapport there that allows the coachee to say, well, I know you've been criticised, Natalie, and I make it, you know, I'm quite open in the criticisms that or the feedback that I've received. And he points that out, and I said, yes, you're right. I also have been criticised about being over enthusiastic. And then the point is that trust and safety allows the coach to land another big question, which is, so what are you most afraid of? So we're going under the surface. We've flushed out doubts. We've flushed out, why is this important? And now 15 minutes in, we've established that, and we can go into the next sort of half of the coaching session, I suppose, which of course we will look at our next time together. So there you are, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the first half of our coaching conversation together. And as we said, at the next half of the coaching conversation, which we'll do next week, we'll dive into the next half and find out what is the client most afraid of and how does the coach work with that. So again, we're doing this so that you can understand the differences between ACC, PCC, how we manage silence. Take the opportunity perhaps to listen to it again and use the transcript as well, and then you can highlight the good questions that the coach asked. I also don't mind if you highlight where the coach has stacked a couple of questions as well. I could have tidied that up, I think, to make it a better recording. We've pointed out some of the things we would have liked to have heard. Watch out for stacking questions, watch out for overly commenting, and include that offer back to the client about what they're hearing and feeling and thinking would have been a better coaching conversation in that regards, a higher level. And the pause on the sense of being criticism. Yeah, well, we can look at that too, Laura, when we look at it again. So I hope you enjoyed that coaching conversation. We look forward to catching up with you next week at our next session to see what happens next.
Wonderful.